to Michelle's Inspiration Hour Extended. So, I am really excited to offer this to you. So, a lot of my clients come to me and they're always asking about their worldly problems. And we're talking about relationships, career, finances, health, sometimes legal issues, making choices, spiritual issues. So, what I do, and that the reason why I decided to bring on Michelle's Inspiration Hour podcast is try to cover as much as I can for you and to bring you resources. Well, I had an idea and I thought, you know what? I need an extended version because I have so many fantastic guests and they have so much to give, so much support to give, and so much information. And so, what I decided to do is I'm going to combine a couple of my guests together in this series. Okay. So, it's going to be hopefully once a week. But what I have decided to do is draw a card like I normally do for my guest and see what topic I'm actually going to talk about. Well, this time I have drawn the surrender denial card. And what this says is accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. So, what does it mean to surrender to denial? And that is different for different people. However, a lot of people will ask, why am I in this situation? Why do I have these people in my life? Why? Well, if you accept the situations for they are what they are, and also accept the people who they are, then you'll be able to move on and make better decisions for yourself. So, Susan Gold, we're going to watch her clip and to see what her take is on surrendering to denial.
I was perfectly placed in the middle of that family system. I truly believe all the players played their role in my movie perfectly. All my challengers and my challenges were opportunities for soul evolution if I chose. I feel, why wait to go to heaven for an earthly review? Let's
Right.
do the life review now and get rid of the shame and the guilt. And let's really get to the core, which is love.
The next guest that I've had on the show is Nicole Kerr. She has an extraordinary example of letting go of denial. It's almost like also with her life story is letting go of the expectations that you have for any situation or anybody that you come into contact with. Let's listen.
My soul was going to say, I think it did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And it was in a very horrific way, but it did it in a way that I didn't have shame attached to it because I didn't quit.
Ah.
I got an honorable medical discharge. But my dad still blamed me because I broke his rules. I was going back home, back to the academy from an event, and I got in a car with a senior who had been drinking, and we stopped and had 2 beers. The first 2 beers I'd had in my life, because now I was free, and as a third degree, I was going to have some fun finally in my life. And did gummit, Michelle, first time I had 2 beers, a cigarette, and a kiss with a guy,
Yeah.
I I get in a car crash where I'm pronounced dead. And so I have had
Right.
real
Right.
difficulty having fun. so
Oh, right.
since
Absolutely.
then. So, and my
Well,
dad,
yeah.
that shaming and blaming of me, even though I was not driving, he said it was a bad decision. And fast forward to last May in the epilogue of my book, my roommate quit the academy in Christmas of that year. For 39
Mhm.
years, me and my other two roommates never heard from her. Never. And then we found her on Zoom and
Oh,
I
wow.
we got together. She said, "Nicole, I'm so sorry." I said, "Why?" And she said, "I caused the crash." And I said, "What do you mean you caused it?" She said, "We made a pact that we would go back to the academy together in the same car." And when the event was over, I got in the car with a senior and he was drunk, so I was going to drive him back. I liked him. I wanted to make out with him. and I didn't want you around. So when you asked for the ride back, I said, no, there's one guy left. He's over there in his Corvette convertible. You can go back to the academy with him. And I said, but Margaret, he's been drinking. And she goes, Nicole, they've all been drinking. Who cares? Go have
Yeah.
some fun. I'll see you back at the academy. She had no idea that this guy's agenda was to stop and have some more beers and be late getting back
Mhm.
and try to have sex with me. And she had no idea, but she never saw me. And then, you know, they were told I was dead. And then I was
Wow.
in the hospital for 4 months. And I said, but why didn't you ever say anything to me? She said, because I thought you
Yeah.
knew and you just were so angry with me, you never wanted to talk to me again. I said, no, that part of my memory never came back. So that's another important lesson with trauma and memories. You have some memories, but some other people may have different pieces, and you need to talk it through.
All right, so the last guest, Christine Malik, has a wonderful testimony that you cannot change people. They are who they are. And if they don't make your life enriched, and if they don't really accept you for your authentic self, it is time to set your boundaries and move on. So let's take a listen.
Biggest one that starts for in a relationship is usually the verbal and the mental, spiritual, the psychological abuse, the gaslighting, the comments, the name calling, things like that. And in my situation, that's how it started. Because we actually love that partner. In my case, it was a man, and because I actually loved him, we somewhat adjust for those things that come up, and we say, well, I do love him. Maybe he had a bad day, had one too many drinks, the boss did this to him, the dog did this, the car broke down. We make excuses till it gets to a point where there is no excuse, there
Right.
is no reason, because then if we've set that boundary, and this is one of the things that I teach, the women that come in and the men. If we set that boundary, and we hear that all over social media right now, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. But what we fail to acknowledge is you can set that boundary, but what we did and what we do, sometimes knowingly and unknowingly, is we move it, and we move it again, and we move it again, and we move it again. And we don't say, okay, this is my boundary and I'm not moving it. And we can set that, but we have to stick to it. If that really is your last point, and you say, if you hit me again, I'm leaving, and then it happens, then
Mhm.
you didn't leave. What you're telling that other person is that you will move your boundary, and we have to stick to that boundary.